presenting products from the most extreme wrestling, and this is your AEW Dynamite review for January 22nd, 2020, as we're told, live from the Bahamas aboard a boat on the Norwegian Pearl. Now, it wasn't Bash at the Beach this week. Well, I guess they weren't at a beach, so there wasn't sand and bamboo. They didn't even have the beach balls or the beach babes. They did have 4 life preservers, 1 on each pole of the ring. They had the barricades very close. The fans were very close to the ring. They didn't even have the AEW covers on every single one of the barricades. Oh no, they didn't bring the entire set. Not this time. But they brought their roster and they brought their show. It's AEW Dynamite, and we are kicking it off with the Tag Team Championship match. Last week I said there was absolutely no way that Hangman Page and Kenny Omega were going to walk out with SCU's championship. Well, we'll see. My prediction came true or not. So we kick this thing off. There is an abundance of wind noise. It is windy as crap. I was thinking, dang, it's got to be cold, because where I'm at, it's freezing. But you know what? They're in the Bahamas. So as we're told, it was a nice, crisp 75 degrees with a little bit of wind. So there might have been a little bit of sea smell, some fish smell going in the air. But it was nice. They even had camera guys that, for some reason, were very muscled up. So I don't know if they used independent wrestlers, or maybe Michael Nakazawa was out there. I don't know what was going on. But they had some suspiciously strong camera guys out there doing the camera work. And they were in muscle shirts. So once again, with the whole vibe, they got to have the whole crew fit in the vibe of the show. And I think that that's a pretty cool thing. It's got those WCW vibes all over it. This tag team match, hey, Hangman Page and Omega, they worked well together, believe it or not, until Hangman Page accidentally buckshot lariats the crap out of his tag team partner, Kenny Omega. However, this does not end the match. They continue to go on. And I thought this was going to really throw Hangman Page off, but it didn't. He goes to the outside, they're on the ramp. He buckshot lariats so hard, one of the members of SCU, they knocked the LED board, the LED strip, whatever it was, part of their lighting for the entrance, completely off the stage, almost knocked this dude's head right off. He goes back into the ring, buckshot lariats the other remaining tag team partner, pins him, and oh my goodness, can you believe this? New champions. Hangman Page did it. And him and his tag team partner, Kenny Omega, are now the tag team champions. The AEW tag team champions. And they don't celebrate together, however. No, they're at sea. So you got to do a little bit of crowd surfing. And Hangman Page, boy, he crowd surfs on out of there, and then he gets some drinks with the crowd, and he's partying. But he's not partying with Kenny Omega, so keep that in mind. Yes, they did win. They worked well enough to win the match. However, these guys, they couldn't be any more opposite, it seems. Next up, we have Priscilla Kelly taking on Britt Baker. And boy, it is windy. I can't get over this. You have the ring apron. That skirt is flying all over the place. It is crazy. It was distracting me. I was like, oh my gosh, are they going to lose it? Is it going to go out to sea? People are going to think a pirate freaking flag is going up with all these black AEW flags everywhere. They're just going to be flying all over the place. I thought the set might blow down. I was actually pretty concerned. After seeing that LED strip get knocked off the stage, I thought, anything is possible here tonight. They kick off this match, and in no time at all, they're going to a commercial break. Now, I don't have a problem with good, long matches going through a commercial because, you have to have breaks and whatnot. However, with these women matches, especially recently and in this instance, it starts off, nothing's really happening, and then they go to commercial break for the majority of the match. That doesn't scream we had to go to break or it's a long match that we want to get back to. It screams like, let's hide all the imperfections here. It didn't take much longer once they got back from break, and Britt Baker grabs that jaw submission, and Priscilla Kelly, she taps out. Britt Baker is the winner. Now, I won't say that was great, all that, but it gets way freaking worse. Tony Schiavone is in the ring, and he's got a microphone, and Britt starts talking, and I don't know what was going on with her tonight. I want to believe that this was just an off night for her, but this is what happened. Keep in mind, this is a taped show, and they decided to air this. So Britt Baker starts making fun of Tony for working at Starbucks, and I'm like, okay, but he kind of wanted to do that, and he's working for AEW now, so I mean, you're making fun of somebody for something that they did in the past? I don't know. She says, I'm the hottest girl. And she says it just like this, by the way. I'm the hottest girl on this boat. I mean, she's probably the only girl on the boat. I mean, there was other girls, but you know. She's probably right. Just saying. I'm the hottest girl on this boat. I am also a dentist. The promo was so boring, so bad, so uninspired, so just bland and wooden. I mean, they went to commercial break because it was so bad. They had to cut away because this thing was just boring. I thought initially maybe she was just out of breath, but no, it was just terrible. Britt Baker, what is going on? And Tony Schiavone over there, he was wearing his Hawaiian shirt, and he looked like the IT guy from Jurassic Park. Tony. Speaking of Jurassic Park, next up, we got Jurassic Express. And they're taking on Santana, Ortiz, and Jericho. Now, Marco Stunt, he comes out, and he's got a life preserver on. Not one of the with the round ones that were on the edge of the squared circle. The circles that were on the edge of the squared circles. No, he was wearing a life jacket. And hey, they're on a boat. I saw a pool over there. It's good thinking. Smart thinking, good stuff. You don't freaking want to fall off a boat. It might be hard to find old Marco Stunt, is what I'm trying to say here. Now, Jake Hager, he is ringside with Santana, Ortiz, and Jericho. And if they completely just dropped the proud and powerful thing, I saw them wearing the shirts, but they rarely, if ever, refer to them as this. So it's pretty strange. Jericho starts off in the ring with Jungle Boy, and it was great stuff. Jericho is just a master of putting people over because Jungle Boy was really quick. He was fast. He had a lot of spunk, and Jericho was like, oh, forget this, and he tags out. And that just puts over the fact that you got Jungle Boy, he's a young dude, and they're making Jericho look as if he doesn't have the energy, or he just doesn't have the amount of fire that Jungle Boy has in his young self. So I think that is a very smart way of making him look better. So good on Jericho for that. He's a freaking legend. He is a freaking pro. Jake Hager tries to get himself involved in this, and the dinosaur, he ain't having none of that, and they fight up the ramp. Marco, he goes after Jericho. He tries to hit, I think it was a 360 splash on Jericho. Maybe it wasn't enough weight, enough force for Marco Stunt to beat Jericho, but he kicked out of that. They continue, but Marco tries. He gets him pinned a couple times here, but he gets caught with the Judas elbow, and Jericho wins. You didn't think he was going to kick out of that elbow, did you? Because he was like, cacao! He knocked that boy out. And that was over. Jericho won. Next up, we got MJF taking on Joey Janelle, the bad boy, or at least in Joey Janela's mind. I don't know what it is about Joey Janela and his body hair. He has like a happy trail, but you know, typically on a normal human being, your happy trail would go from like your belly button onward. but and I mean downward. His starts somewhere above his belly button and then goes in a non-straight line somewhere else upward. It doesn't make any sense. Like, is that his chest hair? Or is that just... What is that? It doesn't matter. Shave that off, because that looks freaking weird. Now, he was smart enough to put his hair in ponytail braids, which I need to get me some ponytail braids. Well, maybe not, because I don't want to look like that dude. But with all that wind, what else are you going to do? One time, I was up in Mexico, and I had the ponytail braids because, hey, I'm on the beach. There's a lot of wind, much like here. I wasn't in the Bahamas. I have not been to the Bahamas. But I was over there on an island in Mexico, and it was fantastic. So, if I am in that situation again, I don't know, they got that Jericho cruise coming up next year in 2021. Maybe so. But not if Joey Janelle is going to be wearing those ponytail braids. I don't want to be copying that mess there. No, oh no, oh no, oh no. MJF spits in Joey Janelle's face, which I can only applaud to that. And MJF, he starts walking to the back because he says, forget this, Joey Janelle is a joke. The man has the weirdest body of a professional wrestler I've seen. He's got no ass. He's got like the skinny, fat milk bag stomach, with no muscle definition, and just a silly, silly boy. I don't know, but Joey Janelle, he goes after him. MJF gets mad. He gets real mad. And I love this about MJF. Boy, he is just good at displaying emotion in the ring. And then Penelope Ford comes out, makes out with her new boyfriend or whatever, and Joey Janelle gets distracted. Now, Joey, don't use this as an excuse for losing. You were going to lose regardless. Even if no one distracted you, and you was 100% focused, 100% attentive, Joey Janelle, you had no chance beating MJF. That's just the way it is. Onward. MJF has a microphone, so he is in familiar territory for himself. He talks about himself, thinks he's special. He's basically taunting Cody Rhodes to the point where Cody Rhodes come out. Now, keep in mind, Cody cannot touch MJF, so he's putting himself in danger by getting in the face of MJF. Now, MJF gets really close, and Cody, he wants that microphone. You can even see him, and if you go back and watch, you can see him. He wants the microphone. He's like moving his hand, like, give it to me. MJF gets in his face, makes fun of his lisp, which I still don't hear Cody's lisp. Am I missing something? Or is he just intentionally trying to be a jerk? He does hand the mic over, but then he drops it. He drops it on purpose, and he kicks it like a schoolyard bully. Man, what a real piece of work. Now the Young Bucks, they're sneaking to the ring. Get used to seeing the Young Bucks, because you're going to see them a lot tonight for whatever reason. Remember, you can't touch MJF. He's letting them know. But he says, you know what, MJF? They can. And then boom, double super kick right to MJF. And then Cody Rhodes says, should we throw MJF in the pool? And everybody cheers. Everybody's excited because there is a pool behind the ring. The Young Bucks toss MJF into the pool. And boy, does it feel like WCW up in there. But that's okay. It was cool. Now, they did have the life preservers around the ring, and it kind of looked like MJF needed those life preservers because he was struggling a little bit in that water. And hey, where is that lifeguard lady from last week? That man needs attention, and I sure didn't see a no lifeguard on duty sign, or maybe I missed something. Either way, I hope MJF got out of that pool in one piece, because he does have a big pay-per-view match coming up not too many more weeks from now against Cody Rhodes. And we want to see that, right? I know I do. Now, Tony, he is interviewing Omega and the drunk Hangman Page. It looks like they did this later because it was super dark over there, and boy, it was windy. it looked almost uncomfortable on that boat. If they're trying to convince people that, it's just a real nice, fun time in the sun, it looks kind of dreary a little bit there at night, but still looked like a lot of fun with everybody up in there. And another thing I want to point out is during the matches, at first I guess it was hard to mic the place because, you don't have a building where you got sound bouncing off of. You just got a boat and you got sound going off the boat. It doesn't really bounce back off the water so well. It wasn't perfect. The sound noise was a problem and it was kind of distracting. I don't know. Maybe it's just me and I was getting distracted by the wind and the things blowing around and the wind noise. Maybe nobody else cared, but I noticed. Tony is interviewing. Hangman gets upset when Kenny Omega starts talking about Pac, almost like he's jealous that he's talking about anybody else. But the man who won the match, won the titles, Hangman Page. And then the Young Bucks show up again, and they're congratulating, and Hangman Page is like, yeah, I thought you guys would have won the titles, I thought you would have won it by now kind of thing. So he's kind of upset and he leaves. And that's the end of that. And now, it is time for the number one contendership match. Oh yes, it is Chris Jericho. He is on commentary because this is the number one contendership match for the AEW Championship, which, by the way, Chris Jericho holds. He is the champion. This match is Pac versus Jon Moxley. And Jon Moxley comes down to the ring, down a big stairs thing that was on the edge of the ship. And he's got an eye patch, he's got his eye covered up, so yes, it does indeed look like a pirate has just boarded the ship. We got pirates aboard the main event, aboard a boat in the Bahamas, the Norwegian Pearl. You got Jon Moxley being a freaking pirate. Oh my goodness. These guys start fighting. They're all over the place. They go to commercial break. They're fighting right back up where Jon Moxley came down. They're all over the boat. And I like that. It was cool to explore the area. It's not like we get to see wrestling on a cruise ship all that often. So I was okay with them exploring the boat. And I do want to point out, there wasn't as many backstage segments. And that makes sense because where are you going to do a backstage segment when you have such tight quarters everywhere? Back into this ring. It's the same size ring, I think. It looked a little bit smaller on television to me. Now, I think that I'm wrong about that, but for me, it looked smaller. I thought on this big ass boat that it would appear to be huge, but it wasn't the case. These guys, after they fight up the cruise ship going everywhere, you got Pirate Moxley. He was fighting up there, presumably not looking for booty or plunder, but he was looking for pain and punishment. Once they get back into the ring, Pac, he punishes himself by going to the top rope twice and missing twice in a row. Maybe don't go high flying so much if your connection record making the move is so low. Perhaps. Okay. Jon Moxley, he comes away. Boom, he wins this match. I think everyone kind of anticipated that with all the stuff with, get Jon Moxley to join the Inner Circle and then he steals their car and etc., etc. Yes, it is going to be Jon Moxley versus Chris Jericho. Going to make a lot of people happy with that match. Once they see that match, it's going to be an exciting thing. I'm looking forward to their match. I think that they're going to tear the house down at AEW Revolution. And then Chris Jericho, he's kind of like, I got to flex with my championship now that the match is over up on the top of the stage. And that is AEW Dynamite. That was a nice little episode. It was interesting seeing a wrestling show on a boat like that. I like how AEW has gone out of their way to make each show feels special in its own way, giving it a theme or at least giving it some kind of special name that sets it apart from the other episodes. Whereas when you turn over to Raw, you feel like you're watching the same show in the same building with the same set, with the same production, with the same exact scheduling out, the same process, the same script every time for the past decade or so. It's felt like that to me, and I don't really like that portion as much. I really like the fact that AEW is standing out in that aspect, and that's nice. It's a welcome change to my television, and I have been enjoying these shows. This was a continuation going into AEW Revolution, which of course is a couple weeks away, so we do have more stories to build and more plots to be thickened. But that was an excellent show, and I will catch you guys next time.